What's going on, guys? We are back with another video, and I have a special announcement for this video. We are releasing the 2026 fully optimized Pro Tools template for recording, mixing, mastering, and production. So the last template that I had released, it didn't really cover production and it barely only covered mastering. In this new template, we are covering every single section. I'm going to break the template down for you. I'm going to show you how to use it. I'm going to break down the plugins, the routing, everything for you in this video. Let's take a look at the template. Voila! This is the template. We're going to break it down from the top track to the bottom track. I'm going to break down the routing, and then I'm going to break down the plugins, and then I'll break down other things that are important details, and then we'll do a wrap up. First thing we're going to look at is the first track in the Pro Tools session, and you'll notice that it's just a blank audio track, no inputs. It's outputted to my headphones. This track is for when you're bouncing the song at the end of the session. You want to bounce a song at the correct length of your song. So if you didn't start at the beginning, or if you want to stop the song at the end at the right place, you would come up here, and let's say your song started right here. You didn't even start right here. So you would take this and you would come up and you would hit consolidate clip. Now, whenever you want to bounce your session, make sure this is the same length of the session, and anytime you want to bounce your session, you can just click this, come up here, and you can bounce your session, and it'll bounce at that length. So that's why I have that track there. The next track in the session is a click track, and it's just a click track. And make sure you make it MPC click. Scroll down here to classic MPC click. Learn that from Benjamin Thomas. It won't bleed in your headphones, but you'll be able to hear it. It works great. It's mainly for like singers and stuff like that. They need click tracks. The next track in the session is going to be the mix bus and the master. For the mix bus, this is where you do all your mastering processing. So all of your master plugins are going to be going here, and then on the master track, I have my metering. Then we have the all vocals bus and the all music bus. So every single vocal, all the buses for the vocals is getting routed to this all vocal bus. We're going to break down the routing in a minute, so just don't even focus on that. Just focus on the buses. This is for all the vocals. If we need to do any processing for every single vocal, we do it here. Same with the music. If there's any processing that needs done with all the music, that means the snares, the hi-hat, the melody, the beat, everything together would come here. And this leads me to why I have TRACKSPACER here, but we'll talk about that in a minute, okay? The next two tracks are some VCAs. We have a lead vocal VCA and a background vocal VCA. We're going to touch on both of these in a minute. Specifically this one, I'm going to get a little bit more in depth about. This just controls every background vocal bus in the session. So if you have a whole bunch of background vocals and they just need to come down all together, you use this VCA. The next two tracks in the session are the 2-track and the low pass filter. The 2-track is where you put your beat from YouTube. If you get a beat from YouTube or a producer sends you an MP3, you would bring it into the session like this. You would go import audio data. You would find your beat. It would come up here once you click it, and then you hit copy, open again, and then put it into your clips list. Your clips list is over here, where you would find the beat sitting here. You would drag it over onto this stereo track. Now, the track below it is a low pass filter, and it's set like this. So during a recording session, if someone wants an underwater effect on their beat, I don't have to sit there and run automation or like put it together and set it up. All I have to do is separate it, bring it down to this right here, and then this is already set with one knob filter at 5, so it automatically gives it the beat effect. And then if I need to make a sweep, 2 seconds, boom, sweep into the beat. Very, very simple, very effective, so we do that. The next 3 tracks in the session are delay throws. So not everything needs automation. When you're running a session and you hear someone go and they record something and you bring it down, and then you hear that the last part of the verse could use an echo, you would separate it and you would drag it up into one of these throws that sounds the best. It's just a quick way to get like a delay, a really quick way. And again, we're going to break down all the plugins on these tracks, so don't even trip. We're going to go through everything. The next track is my record track. This is where all my plugins are. So the way that I record is that I have the same exact plugins on my record track as I do on my lead vocal buses. And if you're unfamiliar with what a bus is, okay, a bus is so let me break it down like this for you, super simple. These tracks right here are my lead vocal tracks. When I record here, I would drag it down to these tracks right here, okay, for arrangement. Now, I don't want to process every single one of these tracks with the same plugins. It's going to take up a bunch of CPU space. It's going to eat it up. So what I do is I route all of these tracks in the output to the lead vocal bus. That's what LV is, lead vocal bus. Right here is my lead vocal bus. You can see it's right here. And then, like I said earlier, all the buses for all the vocals are routed to the all vocal bus, AV bus. So one thing I want you to notice is that my record track is 3 dB louder than my vocal bus. And the reason for that is that the vocal bus is stereo, but the record track is mono. So in order for me to hear the same volume level, you need to have it around 3 dBs louder than the stereo bus. And think about it. A mono is 1 signal. The stereo is 2 signals coming in. It's going to be louder by a couple dBs. I have the record track and the lead vocal bus connected to this lead vocal VCA. So if an artist says turn me up in the headphones, you'll notice that, here, let me get you over here real quick. If an artist says turn me up, I'm not going to turn them up here. I'm not going to turn them up in the bus. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come to this VCA right here. And if you notice, whenever I go to turn it up, it's going to turn up the record track and it's going to turn up this bus right here at the same time. So take a look. So now the playback is always 3 dBs louder on the record track, and it's always perfectly level. And I'll touch more on the record track and the way it's connected to the buses. I'll talk more on that then. The next 2 tracks in the session are called fancy leads. Now these are lead vocal tracks, but they are colored a slightly bit different. They're still to go to the same bus, and instead of only having auto-tune on them, I put a doubler and I put a little alter boy for like vocal effects. It's right there. In case someone wants an effect, I can just drag it up to these real quick and turn the effect on. It's super fast. Then we have 5 tracks for lead vocals. This could be the intro go right here, and then the verse go here, the hook go here. But there's 5 of them, just in case we need 5. I normally end up using like 3 of them at most, maybe normally like 2. And then again, all of these tracks, including these fancy lead vocals, are connected to this lead vocal bus. The next group that we have is ad-libs. We have 4 tracks for ad-libs, all with the Pro Q4 already ready. So whenever you need, you can just drag it in. Boom, boom. Now the vocal sounds great. It sits nice in the beat, just like that, super fast. There's 4 of those tracks, and they're all connected to an ad-lib vocal bus. Again, the ad-lib vocal bus is the output, and then when you come down here, it says ad-lib vocal bus, or just ad-lib bus. And then again, all vocal bus. For all of the vocal buses, it's routed to the all vocal bus. So after the ad-libs, we have 4 tracks for background vocals. So let me break this down. Background vocal is just the word for the type of vocal. So like a background vocal could be a double, a background vocal could be a harmony, it could even be an ad-lib. So what we've done here is I labeled these all background vocals. It says duplicate because I just duplicated them. It's a background vocal and it goes to this background vocal bus. Again, the background vocal bus is going to the all vocal bus. I'm just repeating that so you understand. And inside of the comments is where I named what it is. So for these 4, I use them for dubs. Then I have 4 more background vocals for harmonies, and they go to the second vocal bus. So these background vocal 2 goes to the background vocal bus 2. And then the bus, again, goes to the all vocal bus. So this is the audio tracks in the session. And then we have a couple tracks for effects. These are all stereo auxiliary sends or stereo aux sends. We have a plate, we have a long haul, a slap delay, 1/4, half, parallel compression, chorus, and a width. And I'm going to break them all down for you. They're all routed to the mix bus, okay? So they have to be routed to the mix bus so all these effects can be processed through the mastering chain. So they all go here. So if you notice, all the buses for the vocals go to the all vocal buses. At the all vocal bus, that is routed to the mix bus. The mix bus is where you do your mastering. It's just a long line of tracks going to the same place at the end of the day. They just make different stops. So before we move on, I'm going to show you guys these hidden tracks that I have, and it's for a feature. If you have someone who has someone else coming with them for a feature track, I have taken from here all the way up to the fancy leads, and I have made 2 instances of that. So one is active right now, so you can run the session. Then I have another instance that's hidden with these tracks, and you hold these little dots right here, and you just drag down. And now if you come down here, you see these inactive tracks, and it's the exact same thing except doubled for a feature. So you turn these on, and then now if you notice right here, it says lead vocal feature, and then that's going to the lead vocal bus feature. So this is a completely new bus I made, and it's for the feature of the lead vocals, okay? And again, all the buses, even on this, are going to the all vocal bus. All the tracks are going to its corresponding bus. So the lead vocals bus feature goes to lead vocal bus feature. Not only are you going to have tracks for yourself, but you're going to have tracks for your buddy or for your client that brings a feature along. So there's that. So I'm going to make those inactive and hide those again, but those are there. The last thing I want to show you is if you like making beats, I have created the perfect solution for you inside of Pro Tools. We have a folder right here called multi-track beat. If you don't want to pull a beat from YouTube, what you do is you have these folders right here. I want to explain. There's two different types of folders in Pro Tools. There is a basic folder and there's a routing folder. The basic folder is just a folder to hold the files that you've selected. The routing folder routes all the folders that you selected to that folder as the new bus. Let's break this down. So let's actually turn these on first. So you would come down here. All these are the tracks for the 2-track beat. We got the beat delay, beat verb, effect sends, bass, 808, drum, melody, and that's that. So let's go ahead and make these active. All right, now they're all on. So these are all folders right here, okay? These two folders right here are routing folders. So if you notice when you open this, these are all routed to melody, okay? And this is the melody, okay, the bus. So for the keys, the pads, and the bells, they're all routed to this bus right here, which is a folder, but it's a bus. And then this bus / folder goes to the all music bus. Those buses go to the same all music bus, same as the vocals go into the all vocal bus. Then we have the drums, which is hi-hat, snare, clap. I've just put the basic stuff there for you. And all of those are being routed to the drum folder, except for this one. This is where the instrument lives. This is the actual sampler. So I'm gonna break this down for you. I'm gonna get more in detail with the sampler with the drums. I'm gonna show you what to do. On the kick, we have a side chain. So what that is if you notice here on the 808 bass, it's just one track for that because it's just 808. We have a compressor here and it's already side chained to the kick. So all you have to do is drop the threshold, maybe drop the ratio a little bit or bring it up. But all that set, you can get right into side chaining your bass to the kick or the kick to the bass, however you want to say it. Then we have a track for effects. So if you have something of an MP3 or something like that you want to put in your song, like maybe like a lighter flicking or just something like that, you can put it there. Or if you have like a cool pluck or like anything that's like just an MP3 you want to just drag in. Cool. Then we have beat verb and beat delay. These are auxiliary sends. These are stereo aux sends. You would come up here to whatever track you want the reverb, you hit send, you'd go to new track, and then you would look for the beat reverb, wherever that is, beat verb. And then you could drive it up and you would hear reverb on the pads because that's where we put it. So that's the same thing for the delay. And it's super easy to actually work on a beat in Pro Tools. It's hard when you don't understand or when you don't know the routing. And if you guys need help with this, just contact me. There will be no issue that you can't get fixed by just contacting me. Now I'm going to go through the plugins and show you what plugins that I have. So first things first, for the record track, the first thing we have is auto-tune, obviously, in case you need auto-tune. It's always going to be the first track in the session. Then a little NS1, because every room is noisy. Just a little bit past 10, just to catch that little bit of room noise wherever I'm at. Next plugin would be ProQ. So I just recently got outboard gear. So I have a WA73 EQ and I have the 266 XS DBX compressor, and that's outboard gear. It's sitting right next to me. So I roll off my low ends with the WA73, and then I might do some more if I need to in here, but I really normally don't. So that's why that's not there anymore. But normally there's roll off here before I start doing this type of stuff. I get all that mud out. Just want to clarify that before we continue. Other than that, it's basic pro queuing. We have some dips here that we can move to different locations and we can drag it down. This is just simple for you. You find the harsh frequencies, the boomy, boxy frequencies. You can pull it down until it's gone, but these are here for you. This one, you can come over here, get some harsh frequencies, pull it down. It's just there for you. The next plugin in the chain is the de-esser by Waves. Simple de-esser, always sitting around like 5,500, but it changes per vocal. So does the threshold. All you're doing is dragging it down until you're seeing about 3 to 6 dBs of reduction on the S's. And the way you find the S's is by hitting this S chain. It's going to really amplify the S sounds whenever you get near them, and you just go like this and sweep until you find the S's. And then once you find them, you leave it there, turn it back on audio, and pull it down until it sounds good. Next plugin in the chain is TubeTech CO1B. This is for them creamy vocals after tracking with the 266 compressor, which is a VCA compressor. So it's really fast. It's really transparent. It doesn't have a lot of flavor to it at all. We run it through the TubeTech or the LA2A depending. The next plugin is Gem Dopamine. This is a gem that I got from Benjamin Thomas on one of his tutorial videos. Great plugin. So the way this plugin works is it's made after it's replicated from the Dolby Atmos noise suppression units. And what they realized back then, I'm gonna butcher this by the way, I'm not gonna say this right, but what they did back then was they realized that if they don't fully code it or something like that, it makes this really nice high-end harmonic sound. So instead of or decode it or something, maybe if they don't decode it, I'm not sure what it is. If you want to look into that, just Google Gem Dopamine plugin and why it is and how it is, and you'll be able to figure that out super fast. Next plugin in the chain is MC2000. It's actually MC404. It's multi-band compression. I leave all my settings the same. The only thing I'm adjusting is the threshold. If I want less compression, I turn it this way. If I want more compression, turn it this way. For the two middle bands, I like it to be around like right here, 6 to 3, around there. Maybe a little more if I need it. And for the high end and the low end, I like, for 1, I don't like to see much of nothing going on here. For the high end, I'll shave off just a little bit on the harsh parts. And you do that by turning this to the right until you see a little green thing come out here, and you just want it to creep a little bit. A little bit of spectra, a little EQ. This is not just a regular static EQ. This boosts frequencies by saturating them. So we have a little saturation boost here in the high end, and a little bit right here for vocal presence. You don't gotta overdo this plugin right here. It's pretty chill. And then the last plugin is another Pro Q4 instance, just in case we missed anything, in case we gotta pull a frequency out. That's there. And that is the full signal chain, and that you'll find that on the lead vocal bus. You'll find that on the ad-lib bus. And the ad-lib bus gets processed slightly differently, just a little bit heavier compression, turning it down a little bit more, getting it to fit in the mix properly. For the background vocals, it's the same chain except no spectra, no Pro Q4 at the end. We end at the 404. We're making these really quiet, so we don't need spectra we don't need to make anything stand out. It's background vocals, right? So same thing with these right here, and that is the vocal chain that I use for 99% of the time. And it changes, but it changes slowly. It'll probably be that for the next couple months, and then I'll add things or take things away. On the fancy leads, we have Little Altar Boy. This is for the pitch up effect or pitch down effect. So if I want a high, like Alvin and the Chipmunks pitch in the background, do this, turn this down a bit. Or if you want it to be like a demon voice, you could turn it down like this. You could drive it even harder, and you could make it fully wet. You could do tons of different things. There's modes. You could play with this plugin all day long, I promise you. And another one, just in case I don't want Little Altar Boy, is Double or Two. This gives a cool chorusy effect too. This is just for fancy leads if your vocal needs something to it. Auto-tune on all the vocal tracks, and there is nothing on the first insert slot in this entire template except for auto-tune. The reason being is that if I want to turn on every instance of auto-tune, all I have to do is hit option and say make active, and now every instance of auto-tune is turned on. Only auto-tune is on the first track. For the ad-libs, again, we have Pro Q4 for on the individual vocal track for cutting out the high frequencies and low frequencies, making it sit nice in the beat. The next thing is we have these effect sends, which are auxiliary sends. We have a plate reverb, and this is my settings for plate reverb, but it's not actually a plate, it's Palace. I have it set to Palace. It could be plate. 1980s. And then we have another instance of Valhalla for a long haul. We have concert hall, and we just have it in long haul settings. You can snag this if you want to. Then we have a slap delay with H delay. It's set to 89 milliseconds. Sometimes it gets a little faster. 0 on the feedback, and it's basically just giving the slap delay effect. If you want to learn about what slap delay is, you got to go watch a video on slap delay. Same with most of the stuff here. I'm not going to break down stuff like that. I'm just going to tell you, and then you can go learn what that is if you don't know. Then we have 1/4 and a half delay with Vintage Verb as the second plugin, so it washes out the delay. 1/4 delay, simple, set. 30 on the feedback, half delay, 28 on the feedback. You could go a little more, a little less, but simple settings. Rolling off the high pass and the low pass. The low pass is set to 44. 4K, and then this is set to 2.5K or 250 hertz is what I meant. Next track is parallel compression. So when you're recording a vocal and it's just not cutting through the beat, what you can do is you can make a track and put a compressor on there and route the vocals to the compressor here. So this is how you do it. And basically you're crushing the compressor dynamics super hard, and then you're sending this signal to whatever vocal you're trying to work with. So you would need the lead vocal to cut through more. You come up here to parallel compression, you unmute it, and you come up here and you press it up. You gotta be careful though, because what you're doing is you're sending a completely squashed, crushed signal to your lead vocals. And what this does is, in low doses, it lifts up the low end and makes your vocal incredibly clear. And it's called New York compression. It has a couple different names, but right around like 30, a little over, a little under is normally where I'm at, and it's just crushing the vocal and then like feeding it back into the original vocal. The last two effects are chorus and width. Chorus is a chorus effect. It's like the same thing as the fancy leads, except I can automate it with this right here. So I'm using Valhalla Space Modulator on the doubler mode in default. And if I don't like that sound, I have the doubler 2 plugin right here with the direct monitoring for like the main vocal. You have to turn this off. If you notice right here, it turns off. And I pick between this one and then whichever one sounds good on the vocal, that's the one I'll pick. And then I'll run automation using this right here. You can run automation. You can make it more right here. And then right here, if you want less, you can make it less. And then more right here, you can make it more. That's how you do that. Run automation. Normally, I'm lifting it up at like the last couple words of a vocal, and it gives this nice shimmery effect. It's so cool. Then with width, we're using Ozone Imager, and we're literally just giving width to like ad-lib vocals, background vocals. So like, it's already set with the width in the right place. All you have to do is come up here. You want width in your background vocal. You come here, unmute, and you turn it up, and it spreads the vocal to the stereo. So very cool. My main concern with building this template was time. And if you have sessions, anything they ask, you're able to perform right away. Now I'm gonna go over the submix. On the submix, we have mid-side EQing. If you don't know anything about mid-side EQ, definitely look into it. But basically what I'm doing is I'm rolling off the low end rumble from the bass out of the side stereo frequencies. So if you see here, it says S, and we're cutting that off. So now there's no rumble in the side. So we're basically making the bass, the 808 mono. Then we have a little dip in the mids from the beat so that vocals can cut through. And then a little bit of a boost on the side frequencies for the high end. So you can hear the high end in the stereo a little more. This isn't important if you don't want to overcomplicate your system. Just delete this and go right into Gold Clip. This is not the most important thing in the world. If anything, you can come here to the all music bus and you can just roll. This is already rolled off. So you're good to go. Next plugin is Gold Clip, one of my personal favorites. All you're doing is you're using this, compress it a bit, and then wherever the vocal's at, you're dragging the ceiling down until you're seeing about 2 dBs of reduction being cut. So you'll see it. Right now it says -91. That means there's absolutely nothing going through this thing. But as soon as you start pulling this thing down here, this blue line is going to come closer down here to the vocal, and you're going to start chopping off the tips of the vocal until you see plus. It's going to be not a negative number. It's going to be 2 dBs on here. 2 to 4 dBs is what you want. 4 dBs is pushing it. 2 dBs is safe, and that's how you clip the vocal so you can drive it up into the limiter harder later on. And the next plugin is the God Particle, another one of my favorites. I mix in headphones in an apartment like this when I'm not in the studio, so I cannot be loud on speakers. So what I do is I use this right here to see if my low end's right, my mid is right, and my high's right. I do use my ears, but I also use this plugin. I drive the input up until I'm inside of this box. I don't put the limiter on in here. This limiter's off. You don't want the limiter on. I put the limiter on in here, and I use this limiter for limiting. Put the ceiling to -0.1. Or I'm sorry, put the ceiling to -1. This is for streaming services, so they don't clip your audio, and so it's not being clipped whenever you send it to streaming services. You're dragging the threshold down until you see your LUS look at around -7 to -9. You can go louder, you can go quieter, that's up to you. I like to mix to around like -8 is like a sweet spot for me. Inside the mastering chain, you're looking at Insight 2. This is just for metering. This is a free plugin. You can go get this, type up Insight 2 on Google, and you can download this for free. It has the sound field, it has history, intelligibility, spectrum, and spectrogram. I don't really use these 4 right here. I use sound field to make sure that everything sounds good right here. You would not want to see something like this after making a song. The levels, just checking levels, and loudness. And here's the integrated, momentary, short term, just checking levels. It's super simple. Now, I've had a bunch of people comment on my videos and say, show me how to use TRACKSPACER. I got you. On the all music bus, where all the music goes, the 2-track goes there. We have, first, we're rolling off the bass, the low end frequency by 20 hertz right here. Then right after that, we have TRACKSPACER, okay? I'm gonna show you guys what I'm doing here. I'm rolling the low cut up to about 150, right around there, and the high cut to around 5-6K. Then I'm driving up to about 10 to 15% until it sounds like it's cutting through the beat, but it's not compressing the beat. And the way I have this set up for the side chain is the lead vocal bus is my key. Now, don't get scared by saying just the left side. Your left side and your right side are identical. So all you really need is the left side. So on the all music bus, you're going to TRACKSPACER. You're going to up here to the key, and you're going to select your lead vocal bus. and left. And what this does is whenever you play the song, it's going to look at the beat and it's going to cut out the frequencies where the vocal is living, and it's going to allow your vocal to break through the beat and shine through. And it's an awesome effect. You all have to be doing this, genuinely. And then I have another one right here, inactive, for the feature. This is sent to the feature bus. So if you have a feature, you don't have to get confused about none of that. Just add another one, set it here. It's not going to react whenever the main artist is singing, and then theirs isn't going to react whenever the feature's singing. So it works. Ignore this right here. This is for me sending audio out to OBS. If I'm recording something and I'm trying to show you guys the audio inside. That's the full breakdown of the plugins, the routing. So if you remember the last template, you'll remember that there wasn't as many tracks or vocals. So another thing that we'll go over is, like, say on your lead vocal bus, you want a 1/4 delay. Remember, you come here, unmute it, and you feed in the 1/4 delay. And then the best thing about this way that is set up is that you can do it's completely separate for the ad-libs, and you can add a completely different level of delay to the ad-libs. So you can jump this one up to here and make it super delay. This is just the most functional Pro Tools template for tracking, mixing, mastering, and production you need. Like, you can do anything in this template. I love this template. I spent so much time building this template. If you notice, everything's typed out perfectly and everything's in caps lock so you can see, except for when it says duplicate. So you can clearly see it's a duplication. So like right here, if you need another fancy lead, all you would do is come down here to duplicate. You would uncheck automation, alternative playlist, and active playlist, and then boom, now you have fancy lead duplicate 2 going to the same bus, and now you can use it. You can turn on the little altar boy, whatever you need, and then you're good to go. On the 2-track beat, we have trim set to -10. This is a stock plugin. You just type up trim and it pops up. And we also have that on the low pass filter. This is just to get that headroom for the beat. You can't just drag a beat in and start recording. You gotta turn it down. This is the best way to do that. And then on the 2-track, we have the auto key 2. I don't use this to find the beat. I use this to send the key to the beat. So you come over here to manual, come over here to F major, and then hit it a bunch of times. And then now when you look in auto tune, F major. So it's there. It's not very accurate when it comes to finding the key. What I do to find the key, so I have the software called Mixing Key, and I use that. So when someone sends me a pack of beats or a beat, I drag the beat into Mixing Key, and it automatically renames the file with the key and the BPM. I like that a lot. It's about $50. And this is the template, guys. I spent so much time building this. I'm so happy that it's out. I even spent lots of times on like the showmanship of the product, like the box design and just everything about this. I put mad time into this. So this is my full 2026 version of the Pro Tools template. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Comment below if you think I missed anything, and go check this template out at mixedbyeddieofficial.com and you'll find it there. I also have presets, apparel, like t-shirts, cool t-shirts that are like engineer type shirts. Like it says, I'm going through a phase, and it's the words and it's going through an actual phase. It's funny. A bunch of other things you could check out. You can check out my credits. You could check out my portfolio. Everything's there. I appreciate you guys for watching the video. I'm going to get out of here. Again, this is the 2026 Pro Tools template, fully optimized, way more tracks than the last one, but way simpler. You can always come back to this video if you need to learn something. You can always comment on the video and tell me that you need help. If you really need help with something that's going on with the template, you can message me on Instagram at mixedbyeddie, but it's 2 E's at the end of Eddie, and you can hit me up there and I will immediately text you back and I will immediately help you out with whatever you need. So another surprise for you. I am releasing this version with my plugins and a version with the stock plugins, completely replaced with the stock plugins for free in one template. So when you go to my website, you're going to see on the box that it says stock version included. That's right. You can get the template file for this, and you can get the template file for the stock version. The stock version comes with the version with my plugins on it. I hope to see you guys on the next video. I'm releasing a video next week of a full recording, mixing, and mastering session with my homie, so stay tuned for that. But I'm going to get out of here. I hope you guys have a great night.